Let's welcome in tonight's panel liberal commentator Ethan Behrman and author of How Trump is Making Black America Great Again, Horace Cooper. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good evening, Mike.
President Trump with Laura Ingraham on one of his supporters being killed in Portland over the weekend. Let's listen.
Saturday, one of your supporters is murdered in Portland by, it looks like, a suspected Antifa individual. And then on Sunday, Wheeler comes out and Biden and essentially tries to blame shift to you.
I've offered to send in the National Guard. I've offered to send in anybody they want. I could put that out in 45 minutes and it would stop. And I think the people of Portland and the people of Oregon, I know it's a liberal state, considered liberal, they're tired of it. They're tired of having, of living with this curse.
Horace, the president says he could shut down violence there in a hurry. Your thoughts?
Well, I know that in June, when the president actually talked about sending in the National Guard or some other federal force, there was a lot of pushback. There were large numbers of critics, both in the media and among progressives, who said that that was a step much too far. You can't have it both ways. Either you can let the president and others in June take the actions necessary to stop the problem, or you can wait 90 days and then say, we blame the president for his failure to stop a problem that we opposed him attempting to stop.
Ethan, tonight in Laura Ingraham's interview, President Trump questioned the officer's response in Kenosha. Let's play it.
Shooting the guy in the back many times, I mean, couldn't you have done something different? Couldn't you have wrestled?
Your reaction, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible when an officer shoots somebody in the back, as we witnessed, and it's also terrible when we have a president who refuses to condemn one of his followers murdering, allegedly, two people at a rally that was inspired by the president's own words, which is to call people out to show up and fight against peaceful protesters that are across this country. And by the way, I want to go back to something that was just said. The president cannot call out the National Guard. That is the governors who are responsible for National Guard.
That's not true.
Not the president. He has absolutely nothing to do with National Guard. That's the governor's prerogative.
But what about the president questioning the tactics there? I mean, seeming to regret that this gentleman was shot.
Yeah, I mean, finally, an acknowledgement of something, yet at the same time refusing to address the bigger issue, refusing to take any steps to address what is happening. Why are black people being kicked in the back, being shot in the back? Why does this keep happening in our country? And we have leaders such as President Trump's been in office for 3.5 years, and he's done nothing about it.
Joe Biden was in battleground Pennsylvania. In Pittsburgh today, he pushed back on how President Trump has tried to define him.
Do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Really? I want a safe America, safe from COVID, safe from crime and looting, safe from racially motivated violence, safe from bad cops. Let me be crystal clear, safe from 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Horace, was the former vice president convincing?
Not at all. Couple things. One, they had 4 nights where they could have talked at least once or twice about this issue. I would have liked to have seen a plank put forward in the platform condemning this kind of behavior. And to answer this question about the president's power, the Constitution explicitly gives the president the authority to quell insurrections. And that's what we are seeing. That is a legal, lawful power, and it has been exercised by presidents since Eisenhower.
Ethan,
I'm happy to debate that.
The Posse Comitatus Act specifically addresses what you're talking about. The Insurrection Act talks about it as well. There are definitely limits on what the president can do to enforce simple laws in this country. But if you're going to call up National Guard, that is the governor's prerogative. If the president's going to start doing that,
it is not the governor's prerogative.
When it's not called for, when he wants to, no. When the governors call for actual help on things like COVID, he refuses to do that. But what he does is
now you're changing the subject.
When he's not
You're
wanted,
changing the
and he's
subject.
causing greater problems, and he's inciting violence. The president is inciting violence by taking these
changing
actions
the
and
subject.
encouraging groups to step up and come out with firearms. Look at that. The police don't attack and beat and stick their knees on the necks of people, white people with firearms,
wait a
but
second.
they sure will do it to black people without them.
All right, quick response from Horace, and then I want to get to another topic.
That's absolutely not true. The evidence does not show that. And
is true.
in fact, I didn't interrupt you. And in fact, what we've been looking at is a situation where people are finding rioting, looting, arson, and mayhem, and it's caused by groups that have been around for some time, and they've been coddled by the left and progressives. And at your convention,
you're talking about
there
Proud
was
Boys
no
now, right?
mention of this behavior.
That go out and beat people up and are white supremacists. That's what you're talking about now, right?
I'm talking about Antifa. I'm talking about the behavior
I'm
that
sorry.
we've been
Those
seeing
who actually
in
had no
cities-
direct violent
in cities
interactions, that's what you're going to point out.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Every single chance
Until this
that
weekend.
these groups have had to go to cities across the country, whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's in Portland, whether it's in Milwaukee, we are seeing people bust in, flying in, even after the RNC convention at the White House. Some of these people showed up and engaged in illegal actions
The
that were
number
clearly
one
coordinated.
domestic terror group are white supremacists, but you keep pointing at another group. The number one source of domestic terrorism is white supremacists. Why don't you talk about that,
You
Horace?
can
Why don't you
repeat
address
that
that?
leave it
talking
there.
Why
point.
don't you
can
address their
repeat that.
violence when they're killing
You
people
can repeat that
in the
talking
United
point
States?
all you want.
Ethan,
Here's
It's a
what I
fact.
want.
The
We don't
number
see
one
on
source
video-
of domestic terrorism
we
is
don't
white
see on
supremacists.
video-
Why do you not
Thanks very
acknowledge
much.
it? It's a fact. The FBI
We don't-
statistics show.
All right.